So I'm just going to just jump straight in there. We've done pages already. We've done assignments. We've done quizzes. Now we're wanting to control what students can see and when they can see it. I've just realised I don't have my magnifier on this, which is brilliant. So I'm going to have to zoom in a lot to make sure that people can see things properly. So the first thing that we've got is this little stop sign. If there's a stop sign there, students can't see it. Anyone else can, the teachers can, TAs can, admins can, but students can't. So in order to make it visible to students, you need to have clicked this publish and have it as a tick. Now in this particular case, the students will still not be able to see this particular thing because we also need to publish the module as well. And you'll see when I click that tick then, the other thing's published as well. So when you're doing this, be aware of what's going to be going live to students and what's not, and make sure that if you don't want them to see it, it's got that little unpublished sign on there. And there is a slight variation on that with some of these files as well. So if you're going in the file system, you have some additional options there. You've got publish, unpublish, you've got only available to students with a link, and you've got schedule student availability. So if you've got a specific file that you don't want them to see until a certain time, you can use this to control what they can see. This is potentially useful if you've got an image that's showing up on a page and you don't want them to see that image until they've done the course content or until the lesson's been and gone. You can then say, right, it'll become available once that lesson's finished. And it'll update on the page as far as the students are concerned, because they won't be able to see it on there at all. And that's our very simple visibility control. It's just that there are a lot more complex things in there. So we're going to jump in and have a look at core module requirements first. So here's our module. I've clicked the three dots. I'm going to click edit. And straight away, we've got requirements there that we want. We've also got lock until. So I could say, I've got this content in here. It's published, but I don't want students to see it until this date. So I'm not going to start teaching on this module until September the, I don't know, let's say 7th on there. So I don't want any students to see any material in this beforehand. They can see the titles of it, but I don't want them to see anything. So I'm going to lock it until the 7th of September. I can then also start adding requirements in. So I can either choose that they must complete all of them, they must complete one of them, and if I'm putting different things in, I might put them in sequential order. So I'm just going to move to a module that has a few extra things in so we can see how this works. And I'm just going to add, yeah, we've got some assessments in there as well, so that works fine. So I'm going to click on our edit, and I'm going to add requirements. And because this isn't the first module, we've got prerequisites there as well. I'll come back to those in a moment. So we're going to add some requirements on, and I want them to read the spec'd outcomes. They have to read that. So I want them to just view it. Could be one of the ways that you do. You could tick as mark as done. So with that, they get a little button at the top that says mark that I read this. Or you could have contribute to the page. So if you're wanting them to have editing rights to that page and you want them to add something to it, you can set that as contribute to the page. And then the students have to have done that for it to class as being done. So I'm going to just keep that as view item on that one. I then want them to have gone to lesson topic 1. And in this case, I've used these as discussions rather than pages because I find discussions give you a lot more freedom in what you offer to students. And pedagogically, they're a lot stronger than pages, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. And with this one, I want them to have contributed to it. Let's see what other things have we got. We've got some pages here, so let's do module landing page. I want them to mark that one as done. And we've got some assignments as well. So let's go for our assignments there. And with our assignments, you've got the view it, mark it as done. And then we've got a couple of other ones there as well. So do you want them to just submit it? And do you want them to score a minimum score? So obviously this is out of 1, so I could say I want it to be 1 out of 1. Or if you were doing something and you wanted them to get 80% in order to pass it, you'd put in whatever 80% of the score was. So if it was 10 points, you put 8. And if they don't score 8, 9, or 10 points, then they're not going to be able to progress within that module. And if I tick this as well and say they must move through them in sequential order, then students are going to have to do these things in order for us. So if I go into, I'll just publish it and go into student view. So they have to do this before they can actually look at any of these things. So they can see it's there, but they can't click on it until they've gone and they've done module 1 landing page. They click on that. They read down to the bottom. Now, jump down there, and they've got this markers done. So they click markers done, and then click next. Now they can view that page, and that was one just to view. Click next again. And this is a contribute one. So we want the students to actually have written a reply. If they try to click next before that, they're going to get a thing saying, you haven't done what we've told you to do. So you need to go back to that page and do it before you can unlock it. So jump back to here. We contribute with the test. That post a reply, and then click next. And now they've got access to this. So that's how you control students moving through a module and say, I want them to see it in this order. I want to make sure that they do these things. Once you've got that, I'm just going to shove this module below the one below it, because I want to set prerequisites up on this one. So I'm going to click edit. I'm going to add a prerequisite, and I want them to finish the example layout entire module before this module will unlock for them. Let me just update that. If we go back into our student view, I'll publish it as well, so students can, students can see it. Yeah. So this is grayed out, and then they go further down. This is also now grayed out. Until the student has done these things, it's going to remain gray. So if I just leave student view, and I'm going to go in the gradebook, and I'm going to give the test student 1 mark on that assignment. So then they've got the 1 that they need. Now in zoomed in mode, it's a bit awkward to navigate through. There it is. I'm just going to give them a score out of 1. So I'm just need to make sure that it's definitely gone in as 1 on that. Yep, 1 as 1. And we can pop back here. Let's go into our modules, back into our student view. The student has scored 1 on that, so everything else on that module is unlocked, and it's unlocked this next module as well. So that prerequisites is quite useful if you want to have an introductory question in one of your first modules, and you don't want any more information to unlock until you have marked that. So you might, let's say it's a introduce yourself, and until you've marked that and given them the 1 point or the completed or the tick or whatever thing you've set it up for, they're not going to be able to access anything else. It's all going to be grayed out for them. So it's really a useful tool. If I hit reset student now, so that'll get rid of that score that we've given it, reset the things that they've done. I go into the module, we can see again, it's locked all of this away, so they can't access it. And because of the prerequisites, it's locked this away as well for them. So really useful tools for controlling what students can access, can actually physically click on, and when. The other thing that we've got is whenever we're within discussions or assignments, so if I go inside this discussion here, I click edit. Down at the bottom here, we've got post to. So with this, at the moment, it's control sections. I could click on that and give it to a specific person or to a specific group and say, I only want these people to see it. I don't want some people to see it. I want some others to do so. And that then gives that control to them and makes it so you can have differentiated work based on the students. So you can do it to individual students in here as well. This course doesn't have any students in, so I can't demonstrate that at the moment, but you'd be able to put student names in. You're also able to set available from and until in discussions, which is really useful. So I want them to have access to this thing as of, let's say, Monday next week. I want them to stop having access to it as of a few weeks' time, because it's only relevant for that period of time. So by doing that, you've now stopped the student from being able to participate and use the thing before it's time. So if I just click save on that one, and then we pop into student view, it's saying this topic is locked until the 2nd of May. So they're not able to do anything with that content until that data's come. So again, I know a lot of lecturers want to make sure that students don't access things too far in advance. We all know that one student who will go through everything and go, well, I've read it all now, I don't need to come to the lessons. With this, you can actually lock that away and make sure that they can't read it before you've actually presented the material for them. Also, you might have noticed on the side here, I've got a lot of things in this navigation as a member of staff, as a tutor, that when I go in the student view, they're not there. It's only a few of them. So we can control that level of navigation as well. It's a little bit more difficult than I feel it should be. But if we go into settings and we go into navigation, this is what students can see. This is everything else that we've got. Now, there's a couple of things that come into here that students can't see, like new analytics. If you want to be able to see what your students are doing on the course, you want to have that there. Students won't be able to see that bit. Discovery search and census access are things that we've added in there, so people can access our library search and have a tool for accessibility as well built in. But say I wanted them to see their assignments, I can click on there, I can click enable, and that'll put it in the list, and then I can move it around to where I want it to be. So I want it to be just underneath modules. I'm going to scroll down. I don't actually want them to see announcements, so I'm going to move that down to the bottom as well. I don't want them to search people, so I'm going to move that down to the bottom. You have to remember to press save on this, otherwise it doesn't maintain what you've done. So press save there. You can see things have moved around here for me as the tutor here. And in student view, they've now got assignments there as well as something that they can click on. So that's the very basics of controlling people going through. An important thing to note as well, this requisites thing actually unlocks things like Badger badging for you. Although it's not going to be called Badger for much longer, as Instructure has just brought them out. So it's going to be, I can't remember what they've called it now. Is it Canvas Pathways or Canvas Badges? Something like that. And you can tie those to completion of a module. So I'll just see if I can set up the badging part on this one so you can see what I mean on there. Where are we? There we go, badges. So I'm going to enable that one. I'm going to save it. Now, obviously, it has just been purchased by Canvas, so things are going to change on this one. It's going to start looking slightly different to what it is. But if I select myself for that one, I can now pick here and say this example layout and time module. When they complete that module, I want them to get that that badge. And that's it. That's set up now. As soon as they've completed it, they get that badge automatically. You are able to go into the modules as well and then add on an external tool. There's our badge of Europe. And I don't want to load it in a new tab. I just want to add it in there. And at the bottom here, they can claim their badge on this one. When they click on there, this allows them to claim whatever badge that they get. So it'll say, do you want to claim your badge here? But they will have automatically got it on there. So that's quite a powerful tool for doing pathways and things like that, using badging. And obviously Badger is free with that capability. There are some more complex ones as it does, but they cost you some extra money. The next thing I want to show is mastery paths. So what you can do on this is you can test their ability to do things and then give them mastery paths off the end of it. So I'm just going to create a quick little quiz. I'm going to go to my assignment. I'm going to call it test. I want it to be an external tool and quizzes 2. That for us. And I want it to be worth 3 points. So when I click on this now, it'll give me the build option at the bottom there. I'm going to put in one question. I'm going to make it a multiple choice one. Now, obviously, you could do more than one question in this one. You can base it on any number of points that you want. I'm just using one of the ways that I've used this for pathways before. So I'm just going to do pathway selection. And in fitting with the DigiLearn sector, let's go with you choose between Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Various tools that you want to learn about. Let's just delete that that last one off there because Mastery Paths only works with 3 separate options. I want to vary points by answer, and we'll make Microsoft worth 3, Google worth 2, Apple worth 1. Like that for us, so we can use that in our pathing system. I'm going to click done. And another crucial thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to restrict student result view. I'm not interested in showing them points at all. I just want to show them what they picked. So they picked whichever one it was that they got. And then I'm going to click return. I'm going to click into test again, and we have mastery paths here. So this is where we start building things in. And this is saying if they score between 2.1 points and 3 points, then what do we want them to unlock? So there's all sorts of different things that we can unlock for them. We can unlock discussions, pages, assignments. But for pages to be unlocked that way and for discussions to be unlocked that way, you have to have set them up first and said, I want that one to actually work this way. So let's go into this topic 16 one just as a random choice for it. Let's go down to our bottom. We can add it into our student to do. There's various different things that we can add in there for them. Where's my mastery paths option on that one? There we go, mastery paths. So I can click mastery paths at the top, which for some reason it's not letting me do it. It's trying to think about it, but it doesn't want to work for some reason. It's always good when things don't show as intended. It's probably because I didn't set it up that way in the first place. So let's just make a new discussion. Still not showing up. Must be a setting option I've missed. Bear with me. There's various feature options that you can actually turn off and say that they can't work. That'll be part of it there. That will have stopped discussions from working with it. I'm just going to use a page for now. You need to make sure that you've actually got it turned on at the account level for them to use discussions. But if I go to a page, let's make a new one. And I'll just call this Mastery Microsoft. Because personal opinion here, Microsoft is the best. Well done for having taste. Yeah, that is personal there. Yeah. But scroll down to the bottom and we can click allow in mastery paths on that one. So let's save and publish that one. Let's do mastery Google. Google's all right, I guess. On that one. Click allow on mastery paths on there. And let's build one more. And we'll do mastery, Apple, and this needs to be like that, and let's make it, this is just I on that one for us and allow that in mastery paths. So we can now go back to that assignment into mastery paths, and we can say if they score between 3 points and 2.1 points, then we want the Mastery Microsoft page. If they score between 2.1 and 1.2 points, then we want the Google page. And if they score anything less than 1.2 points, we want them to get the Apple page, like that. Now we can add additional things as well. So we've got the Mastery Microsoft. You might have other assignments that you want on there. You may have research materials. You might want to point them towards a selection of different things that you want them to work through based on the fact that they've done that. But that's going to unlock things for them on there. So we've set that up now. I'm going to click Save. I'm just going to go into our modules and I'm going to set this up so you can see it within a module. So let's just call this Mastery Test. Add that module in. Now I'll always ping these to the bottom. So I'm going to scroll. Whoop. Helps if I don't overclick it. Just go to the bottom there. So there's our Mastery Test. I want to put in our assignment. So we've got the one that I've just made. Where's it gone? It's fallen under quizzes, that's why. So add that in. And you can see it says Mastery Paths there. And then we want some pages. And I want to put in these 3 pages for us. Add item. And you can see from this, it's telling us what that needs to be for them to get. So it's Mastery Paths, and they need to have scored one of these sets of scores in order to get that page. So let's publish it and let's see what our student sees with it. I'm just going to move it up to the top. Move module at the top, just so it's easier for us to find it as a student. So click Student View. This is what students see. This is locked until test is graded. Let's go into test as a student. They click begin. And then they pick which pathway they want to go on to. So they're going to pick the Microsoft one for us and submit. It's automatically grading it for us. And we've wanted to make sure the students don't know how many points are possible. We definitely don't want them to see if something is right or wrong on this one, because none of them are right or wrong in this particular case. It's a pathway selection. However, you could do this with any quiz, and you could have things saying that they're right and wrong, and then it unlocks further revision for them based on what they've got right or wrong on there. Just going to click return, go back to our modules, and you can see Mastery Microsoft has unlocked for this student. The other ones aren't there. It works with classic quizzes. It works with assignments as well. I just use it this way with when I'm wanting to do pathwaying with it. You can do it with any assignment at all. So if I just leave student view here, and let's just build a normal assignment. Again, mastery test. We'll make this worth 100 points. With just an online submission, we want them to upload a file for us on there. Assigned to everyone as we usually do. And then at the top, you've got mastery points. And you can set the boundaries that you want on there. So you can say if they score in the 70% plus, they've got one set of material coming out to them. If they score in the middle ground, they've got another set coming out. If they score really poorly, they've got another set coming out for them as well. So this is all about building that bespoke, differentiated revision content for students. Really useful when you've created a revision course or a revision quiz. And those who've done well, you want to point them onto things that are going to stretch and challenge. Those who've done really poorly, you want to point them onto things that are going to help them deal with any misconceptions that they've got, deal with any issues that they might have. And then those who've scored in the middle, you want to give them stuff that's probably not quite as low level as the stuff that we've got here, but definitely not as high level as the stuff we've got there. So it gives you that ability on what you want to give your students, what you want to show them. So that is actually, this is the shortest of my things, because that's covered the various different ways that you've got for controlling student movement throughout Canvas. We've got mastery paths, we've got various different levels of publication, we've got the requirements, and we've got the prerequisites. And that controls everything that they can see. The only other thing that is worth looking at is you can actually test whether everything is visible or not, and there's various different things that you've got in here that you can see. But there is a visibility checker. I can't remember where it is now off the top of my head, because I've zoomed in and it's disappeared. There you go, validate links in content. So you can click Start Link Validation, and this is going to check that you've published everything, so students can actually see everything in it or not. It's also checking whether any images that you've put in are right or not. So there's some non-existent content reference in there. That's the other thing it's found. So if I delete that homepage, because we don't really need it on this particular course. So let's just go to view all pages. Move this front page and delete it. Like that. We're going to go into our modules as well, make sure everything is published. So let's publish everything. And then let's run that again. Validate links in our content. Restart it. And it'll ping through. And there we go. Because I've got it set up to do it, we got the confetti on the screen then. That's the same sort of thing that students get if they submit an assignment on time. It's silly. It doesn't mean anything. It's nice to have a little confetti explosion to say, yay, well done, you've done it right. At least I like it. I'm a child, I know. So yeah, that's everything for controlling the movement through your course and creating pathways as you go. Are there any questions? Yeah, it's not something that's in Blackboard with that one, David. It is an incredibly useful tool. We've used it. I'll just share my screen again for you. In our staff training, if I just find the one I'm thinking of, which is that one. So in this, we've used the requirements and the prerequisites to lock things. So people have to go through their stuff in order. So they have to do the things that's the basics first, then things that are slightly more complicated, then things that are more complicated again. And we can see here we've got mastery paths set up, and we've actually got it set up in this particular case. So only one thing unlocks. So at one point and other points, it doesn't unlock anything additional. Only if you've got full points does it do that. And that question there was, do you teach HE or FE or both? So if they chose HE or both, they got 2 points out of it. And that unlocked the thing on how you set up assessments within Canvas. If they're just an FE tutor, they didn't need to know that. So we locked it away behind the mastery path, so they don't need to know it. And we've also used badging here as well, initially as our way to track who completed what, because it does give you the tracking there of who's got what, and it tells you who's unlocked what badges. As we've got access to our data warehouse, we don't need that as much anymore, but it is still nice for people to get a badge that they can show off to people.